Welcome to a story about Christmas and the power of belief. This is a retelling of the Polar Express. Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! On Christmas Eve, a boy lay in his bed waiting for a sound he wasn't sure he believed in anymore. He had been told about Santa Claus like all children are told. He had believed completely the way young children do, when the world is still mostly magic and adults seem to know everything. The cookies disappeared, the presents appeared, the logic was airtight. But he was older now, he had started to notice things. The handwriting on the gift tags looked familiar. The mall Santas were obviously different people. His friends at school spoke knowingly about what their parents did on Christmas Eve. And he had pretended to know too, though he wasn't certain. He lay awake, listening for sleigh bells that part of him had already decided he wouldn't hear. This is the dangerous age. The age when wonder starts to feel like something you're supposed to outgrow. When believing seems childish and doubt seems mature. When the world shrinks to what can be measured, weighed, and proven. The boy listened to the silence and felt something slipping away from him. Then he heard it. Not sleigh bells, something stranger.
A sound so loud it shook the house.
A hissing, huffing, thundering mechanical roar. He went to the window. A train had stopped outside his house. Not on tracks, there were no tracks. A massive steam locomotive gleaming in the snow, breathing clouds of white into the cold air. A conductor stood on the steps checking a pocket watch. The boy put on his robe and slippers and walked outside. Because what else do you do when a train appears on your lawn on Christmas Eve?
All aboard, the conductor said. The Polar Express. Where does it go? The conductor smiled.
The North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express. The boy looked back at his house, his warm bed, his reasonable doubts. Then he climbed aboard. The train was full of children in pajamas and robes, hundreds of them from all over the city, maybe all over the world. They drank hot chocolate that never spilled. They sang carols. They pressed their faces to windows watching impossible landscapes roll by. The boy sat apart at first. He was not sure he belonged here. The other children seemed younger, or at least younger in their certainty. They had not yet learned to doubt. He had, and the doubt sat in him like a stone, making everything feel slightly less real than it should. They crossed frozen lakes and climbed mountains. They passed through forests where the trees were hung with lights that had no source. The train moved through landscapes that could not exist. And still the boy's doubt whispered, special effects. Dreams, something explicable underneath. A girl sat down across from him. She had lost her ticket and almost been put off the train, but a series of improbable events had returned it to her. She looked at him with curious eyes. You don't believe, do you? I don't know, he said, which was true. He wanted to believe. He just wasn't sure belief was something you could choose. Neither did I, she said.
What changed? She thought about it. I stopped waiting to be convinced. I started practicing.
The North Pole was a city, not a small workshop, not a quaint village, a vast city of elves, stretching as far as the eye could see, built around a central square where the largest Christmas tree in the world blazed with light. The streets were full of activity, toy production, reindeer training, list checking, the whole mythological apparatus in full operation. Santa himself stood in the square, preparing to begin his journey. He was enormous, warm, exactly as described, and more. He was more real than anything the boy had ever seen, more solid, more present. Looking at him, doubt seemed like a strange and small thing. He will choose one of you, the conductor announced, to receive the first gift of Christmas. The elves parted. Santa walked among the children and stopped in front of the boy who had doubted. What would you like for Christmas? The boy could have asked for anything. Toys, games, treasures. But standing in front of this figure who should not exist in this city that could not be real, having traveled on a train that had no tracks.
He knew what he actually wanted.
One of the bells, he said. From your sleigh,
so I can remember this is real.
Santa smiled. He cut a silver bell from his reindeer's harness and placed it in the boy's hand. The boy shook it. The sound it made was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. Pure, clear, the sound of everything he had been afraid he was losing. He put the bell in the pocket of his robe to keep it safe on the journey home. He checked it a dozen times on the train. It was there. It was real. It was proof. When he woke on Christmas morning, the first thing he did was reach for his pocket. The pocket had a hole in it. The bell was gone. He searched everywhere, under the bed, in the folds of the blankets.
On the floor, in the yard, everywhere the bell could have fallen, it was nowhere.
He sat on his bed and felt the doubt rushing back. Without the bell, what did he have? A memory of a dream, a story no one would believe, nothing he could hold in his hand and shake and hear. Maybe it hadn't been real. Maybe he had imagined everything. Maybe the world really was as small as the doubters said it was. Then his sister called him downstairs. There was one more present behind the tree, overlooked in the morning's chaos. A small box. Inside, the bell, and a note in handwriting he did not recognize. Found this on the floor of my sleigh, better fix that hole. Mr. C, he shook the bell. The sound rang out, clear and pure, exactly as he remembered. What's that? His mother asked. A bell.
Listen.
He shook it again. His mother smiled politely. That's nice, honey. She hadn't heard anything. He shook it for his father. His father heard nothing. His sister heard nothing. They looked at him with patient, puzzled expressions, the expressions adults wear when humoring a child's imagination. But the boy heard the bell, clearly, perfectly, the most beautiful sound in the world. Years passed. The boy grew up. He moved through all the stages: adolescence, adulthood, career, family. He kept the bell on his dresser, and every Christmas Eve he shook it. For a long time it rang, clear and pure, no matter how old he got, no matter how much of his childhood fell away. Then one Christmas he shook it and heard nothing. He sat with the silent bell in his hands and understood what had happened. Not that the bell was broken, that somewhere in the accumulated weight of adult concerns, he had stopped practicing. Belief, he understood now, was not a thing you had or didn't have. It was a thing you did.
A muscle that atrophied without use.
The bell only rang for those who still believed, but belief wasn't passive. It was practice. It was choosing, every day, to remain open to what couldn't be measured. He held the bell and made a choice.
He chose to hear it again. It took time.
It took letting go of the protective certainty that the world was only what could be proven. It took risking foolishness, risking being wrong, risking the vulnerability of wonder. But eventually, faintly at first, then clearly, the bell rang again. Not because it had changed, because he had. The bell sits on his dresser still. He shakes it every Christmas Eve. Sometimes his children shake it too. They hear it clearly as children do. He knows there will come a day when they stop hearing it, when doubt arrives as doubt does, and the bell falls silent for them. He cannot prevent this. He can only tell them what he learned. The bell is always ringing. The question is whether you're still listening. And listening is not passive. It's the most active thing there is.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Share to help the channel grow.